As the November presidential election gets closer, investors are keeping an eye on Wall Street. But do we need to worry about Washington's impact on our money? Mickey Powell of Powell Financial Partners joins us this morning with advice. Mickey, it seems like a lot of people are maybe a little bit anxious, apprehensive about what's going to happen next, who's going to be in the White House when it comes to their money.
You know, it's understandable that people could be nervous. They could be anxious about it just because there's so many uncertainties that are out there. And Gigi, if you think about people that are retiring or maybe they're in their pre-retirement years, these people look to their investments to provide their income. But it's very interesting when you look back historically, though, election years have got some statistics that can tell us some pretty important things.
Okay, like what?
Well, you know, I tell you, one of the things that I really look at, Voya has done research going back to 1833, okay? And whether a Democrat wins, whether a Republican wins, there's some trends in election cycles that take place. If you go back that far, in pre-election years, you'll see stocks averaging 10% return.
Yeah, and we put a graphic here on the screen for folks at home.
And in the election year itself, you'll see 6% averages, but then after the election, okay, in these following years, you'll see 4%. Sometimes, and then 2%, you know, in midterm election years back and forth there. But the thing about it, people need to understand that just because these have been the trends in the past, there's not a guarantee if that's how it's going to be going forward.
That's right, because we have some candidates in the race who have done some things that are quite untraditional as far as the campaigning goes.
This is an extremely unusual year.
Yeah. So then what do we do? I mean, are we stuffing our dollars under mattresses now?
A lot of people might think that, but you know, really it depends on the risk tolerance of every individual.
Okay.
And I think, you know, people can invest their money in a way that's going to be appropriate for them. You know, it's not a one-size-fits-all. And I tell you, you know, they need to understand that you don't get into the stock market to get rich real fast. You need to be patient. You need to have a mindset that knows that it's going to take a while for things to work out.
That's interesting. So are you still telling maybe those younger investors to be a little more risky and maybe the more mature audience to maybe not so much?
Well, you know, I think one of the first things, and it applies to everybody, no matter, excuse me, what their age is, just because there's been really good past performance, that's not a guarantee that it's going to continue that way. They need a broad, global, diversified portfolio that's going to help shield them from the ups and downs of the stock market.
Okay, and that's all the time. That's not just what's happening in Washington.
That's it. And you know, kind of the point of the conversation here this morning is if you go back and look at the historical numbers, the markets kind of do what they do. If a Democrat wins or if a Republican wins, the history is still there. The statistics are still there. Things kind of work out.
So we don't necessarily need to be, I guess, fearful in terms of whether we have a Republican in the White House or a Democrat in the White House.
Not as far as the stock market goes, based on these historical numbers. It's important for people to have a focus, to have a plan, have an advisor that they can trust, that they can go back and forth with, that understands them, knows what's important to them. You know, and you stay focused, you stay on your goals that are appropriate for you.
Okay, so Washington proofing your portfolio, good, thumbs up, not so much, what?
You know, I'll tell you what, I think it makes sense that, you know, presidential elections really are not factored in to performance planning because, again, what's happened in the past, there's not a guarantee.
Right.
That's how it's going to be in the future.
Right, right. Okay, so to folks who want to reach out to you and say, you know what, I think I want this guy on my side, what do they do?
You know, they don't need to worry about who is going to win the election. You know, that certainly has impact in other areas, but in terms of their own investing and savings, they need to do what makes sense for them because you think about it, whoever wins the election, you know, here in November, there's going to be somebody different down the road. If somebody's got 20 years to retirement, they're going to see a lot of changes in election cycles. They need to stay focused on what works for them.
And how do they reach out to you and say, I think I want to have Mickey on my side?
You know, we've got a website, Powell Financial Partners, but the main thing is get with somebody that you trust, that you have confidence in, and that's going to take the time and talk in terms that you understand.
Right.
Yep.
Right. All right. Mickey, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's sure good to see you.
All right.